Hey guys, long time no see. It's been a while since I made a YouTube video, partly because both my and my husband's cameras are broken and I'm working on getting them fixed. We're filming on my iPhone right now, so hopefully the quality isn't too terrible. But also because I didn't feel like I had anything valuable to contribute. But today's topic is something that you guys seemed like you were interested in. We have a cute new place to film. I just got this print and I hung it up the other day. Previously it was Michael Jordan, which these were prints my husband had from his bachelor days. And now that he's married to me, I figured we needed like an iconic woman, and the black and white is really chic. Plus, we have this fancy pants microphone that my husband bought because he appears on quite a few podcasts, which makes me feel like I'm on a real radio show. So, let's get into it. Hi everyone, Mrs. Ballmox here. That is my first time introducing myself with that name since I changed it. If you watch any of my previous videos, the name will be Miss Melior after my handbag company. If this is your first time watching me, hi, I'm Delaney. I live in Budapest, and for the past 2 years, I have been running a small business designing and manufacturing ethical handbags made from pineapple leaves. But I recently gave it all up to be a housewife, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. When I announced this life update on Instagram, it seemed like a lot of you guys had questions and you were really curious about it. So I'm going to pick the questions that I get asked most often and address them in this video. But there are actually a ton, so if this is a topic that you're interested in, you can go to my Instagram and check out the questions highlight, and I've saved them all there if you want to read a bit more. With that being said, let's dive right into these. Oh wait, actually, I want to give a shout out to my outfit really quick. This is an upcycle that I did. It's actually a cardigan that my friend almost threw away or got rid of, and I turned it into this elegant dress. It's my most worn item from my wardrobe, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. So I recommend trying this upcycle. I may be a housewife, but I am still a secondhand loving, thrifty upcycler. First question, did you always want it this way, or did you decide now it was time? So I always knew that I wanted to be a mom and that I wanted to have a big family. My 2 brothers and 2 cousins that I was raised with were all super close. They are my ride or die best friends, and I wanted that for my children. I always knew that family was the most important thing in the whole wide world, and I wanted to marry a man who felt the same way and was successful enough to support his family. With that being said, you would think that I knew I wanted to be a housewife and a stay-at-home mom, but that was not the case. So no one in my community growing up or even now had or has openly expressed wanting to be a stay-at-home mom or a housewife. Not my medical school friends, my business friends, family, like no one. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and she was amazing at it, but she waited until she was 32 to start having children, and she held off retiring from being a flight attendant for as long as she could. It just got to a point where she had her 3 children, a son that was adopted through the court system. He was actually my cousin. And then, as I mentioned before, cousins that were from a broken home that were always with us. And she just kind of became the nanny. They even call her nanny because that was her role, was to take care of the kids. So she's a very masculine woman. She's low in agreeableness, and she comes from a rougher childhood, so she's quite scrappy. And my dad is still the man of the house, so he's hyper masculine. And then I was raised with 3 brothers, so I was not a feminine gal. I was never encouraged to factor child rearing into my future plans. I had this idea that it was only appropriate to become a mother after I had been a career woman and proven my worth. And I'll touch on external messaging in a later question, but to wrap this one up, it was a journey that I had to go on. I had to discover that this is what I wanted, and once I realized that my values, what I valued the most, and my actions weren't aligning, something clicked in my brain, and I started thinking about how to regain my femininity, how to be a good wife, what that even means, what a man looks for in a wife, and as soon as all of those things fell into place and we got married, shutting down my business was the easiest decision in the world. Why can't you do both? So I get this one a lot. like a lot. And in an ideal world, I could run a business and bring up children. And a career is different than a job. So a career requires years of training and schooling or education to get into that career. And I have jobs. So I am a script editor. I taught English for many years. I write blog posts and like crafty videos for a business online. So jobs are more flexible and you can work part-time, and it is absolutely manageable to have jobs and be a mother, of course. But a career is full-time, and the kind of mother I want to be is full-time, and you can't have 2 full-time jobs. That just goes against the concept of full-time. And if someone did manage to have a full-time job and be a full-time mom, then I would argue that they are completely overworking themselves. And for what? I don't want to juggle, handbags and children and just like overwork myself. For what purpose? So that I can say that I'm a boss babe? No, thank you. Thank you. Next question. What reactions have you received after saying you only plan to be a housewife? How do you deal with people who look down on you and people think me wanting to be a housewife is a waste because I'm smart? So I'm gonna address all of these kinds of questions in one because they're along the same vein. The short answer is the reactions were mixed. On one hand, I got people who are wary because I'm 24 and today that's seen as quite young to get married and start a family. There are people who say only a housewife or just a mom, and there are also people who kind of pretend that I didn't shut down the business. They'll make a comment oh, a Melior store would be great here. And I'm like, Melior doesn't exist anymore. With these kinds of people, you have to just let the comments roll off your back. Luckily, I have a lot of practice with that. When I first announced that I was dropping out of medical school, everyone and their plumber had something to say about it. So yeah, I got really good at just politely kind of waving the conversation away. And you kind of realize that these people have no idea what you want in life, what makes you happy. And so, they're trying to be helpful, but you just gotta just let it wash over you. It doesn't matter. My life mantra is those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. So thank you, Dr. Seuss, for that piece of wisdom. And the people who do matter in my life, so my family, and most importantly, my husband, they support this decision. My husband's even excited about this decision because, in his words, he wants to start a family with me, not a business with me. So he's happy with this arrangement. On the other hand, you have women who reaffirm the decision. Because I was in the entrepreneurial space for years, I know a lot of women in business and women who prioritize their career, and most of them, almost all of them, have said they wish they didn't. They wish that they had families and focused more on relationships when they were around 25. A lot of them thought that the business aspect of life, like growing their businesses, were going to be difficult and finding a relationship was going to be easy. And for most of them, it was the other way around. I think it's because, of course, you reap what you sow. If you put your energy into something, that's where your life is going to grow. And it's very difficult to, going back to kind of the full-time thing, it's very difficult to put a lot of energy into 2 very time-consuming things. And I really do think that a lot of this depends on the community that you surround yourself with. For example, most of the dedicated wives and moms that I look up to online, like Milena Ciciotti, Rebecca Barrett, Suzanne, Kristen John, Sarah Therese, they're all Christian women. And this community is very encouraging of women who make this life choice. Being a dedicated wife and mother is what the Bible calls them to do, so they have a great support system, and that is wonderful. But for someone like me who doesn't come from a religious background in the slightest and it doesn't have that kind of community, I can really see that the people in my life, most of them, don't necessarily relate to the decision I'm making. And I guess that they might see it as a waste because I'm smart, but my thought process is the dumbest thing you can do is pursue a life that isn't going to be as fulfilling as one you should be pursuing. and dating with the intention of meeting a man who can financially and emotionally support your decision to be a full-time wife and mother is a very smart choice. And we need smart people in the world, so you need smart mothers to bring up smart children. So I really wouldn't let any comments like these, just ignore them. Do you ever think that being a full-time mom / housewife is what society wants from women? I saved this one for last because it's such a loaded question, and I see this theme online a lot. And the first thing that I want to say is that I respect you too. I appreciate your question. I want this to be a space where you can literally ask anything that you are curious about. I'm quite an open book, and it's near impossible to offend me. So ask away, and I will do my best to answer. With this one, the first thing I think about is, what is society? And people have this tendency to think of society as this like overarching villain, or this group of men sitting in a dark room like plotting against us. And that idea is so misguided that I find it hard to believe that people think about society this way, but they do. So let's talk about it. Society is you, me, our families, our friends, our communities. So if society needs something from me that I can fulfill, then I'm proud of that, especially if it's something that a choice that I actively want to pursue. If you continuously hear from women that a life choice they made was the most fulfilling, I don't think they're doing it to manipulate you. I think, they're content and they want you to be content, and so they're just trying to give you like their best life advice. And I haven't really heard a good argument against being a dedicated wife and mother. So if you have one, leave it in the comments below, because I'm curious to hear it. But to really answer the question, I think she's asking, do I think I've been brainwashed by a patriarchy to want to be just a housewife and serve my family? And the answer is absolutely not. Not a single person ever in my entire life has ever told me to pursue being a dedicated wife and mother. Not a single person. If anything, the external messaging that I'm getting online, conversations at dinner, in school, everyone tells you to go out and be a boss babe, start your own business, become a doctor or a lawyer, get into STEM. You can have kids when you're 30, you're an independent woman, all of these messages. So if anything, society is trying to brainwash me to do the opposite of what I'm doing. So those are all the questions that I'm going to touch on today, but if you have any more, throw them in the comment section below or DM me on Instagram and I can make this like a series. Again, I want this to be an open conversation. I don't want you to feel like I'm lecturing you or judging you or, I don't know, telling you how you should live your life. I just want to give you the opportunity to ask someone who's making this lifestyle choice any questions you may have, because you might not know someone in your circles who is making this lifestyle choice like me. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.